Tectonics folder inside of Schoology. So go ahead and come along with me. Make sure that you are here at Plate Tectonics. Going back from the beginning, make sure that you are on your science course and you are on the distance learning folder. So go ahead and click there. Make sure that you're there with me. Plate Tectonics. If you need to take some time and pause while you get there, you can pause the video until you get there. We are going to go down to the Evaluate My Plate Tectonic model. So you will need for this project your project proposal from the Elaborate task, where you told me what you were going to build for this task, material list for your project. So what you should do is you should start coming up with a materials list. So you may want to just go ahead and go into your Google Docs. Make sure you're in your Drive, I should say. Go into your Google Drive. Go ahead and just make yourself a new folder like I'm doing right now. I did that by just hawk clawing the trackpad. So just your double fingers, you click, and then you go ahead and make a new folder. Then you can title that folder Science. And you can create that folder. Once that folder is created, you can open it up. And you can go ahead and hot claw again. And Google Doc, new Google Doc, blank document. Go ahead and open that up. You can also do this on a piece of paper. This is not something you have to turn in, but I like digital. It's nice and easy. So material list, and I'll put my name so I know it's mine. Then you can just go over here and just number it and start writing down what materials you're going to need. Okay. That is what you need to do for your materials list, or else it's going to be hard because you're going to start building and you're going to go, oh wait, I need this. Oh wait, I need that. Oh wait, I need this. Oh wait, I need that. Don't do that to yourself. So make sure you get a materials list for your project. Materials for project. Once you have this list going, it's easy to ask mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, auntie, uncle, hey, do we have any of this stuff laying around the house? If not, is there a way I can get it? Or do you know of some way I can substitute? Like if we don't have cardboard, can I use some sort of stiff paper? Maybe from like a cereal box or something. If we don't have pens, do we have crayons? Also, please contact me if you are in need of materials and you're just not sure what to use because you don't have anything. Please get in contact with me and I will try to figure out something for you as soon as possible. So let's go back to the assignment. Chromebook and device, that's going to be necessary because you will need to record your voice and or your face, your video presence. Time, you're going to need some time to do this project, so don't just try and do it at the last minute. Set aside a good chunk of time for the day to do it. And you're going to need some motivation, okay? It might get frustrating, it might be something that is hard or difficult for you, but you absolutely need motivation. That is crucial. So you need to build your plate tectonic model, okay? However you're going to build it, you're going to build it, and that should have been discussed in your project proposal. And if it's not, I will be putting little comments like, hey, how is this going to happen? What are you going to be doing to actually get this done so that it helps you to answer those questions? Then you're going to label the parts of your model. So are you showing a convergent, a divergent, or a transform boundary, okay? So let's take a look at that real quick. Are we showing a convergent boundary, okay? Are we showing a boundary where two tectonic plates are pushed together, all right? And if we are, what happens when two tectonic plates are pushed together, okay? Well, it's called subduction. And what happens is it forms mountains, and it also forms volcanoes. It can also be an area of earthquake activity. So you're going to decide when you're building your model, what are you going to be showing off, okay? Because all these different boundary places, something occurs there, whether that be an earthquake, the forming of new land via mountains or volcanoes. What is going on? If you've clicked, or if you've decided on divergent boundaries, what are you going to label? What sort of event happens during divergent boundaries? During divergent boundaries, new land is formed by magma pushing up from the mantle and cooling itself as it reaches the surface, okay? So you can actually have new land forming during a divergent boundaries, because those boundaries, they're getting pushed apart, which is opening up an area in the Earth's lithosphere and crust where that magma can go and flow out and start filling in where above the surface, okay? And then we have transform boundaries. A transform boundary is one where two plates slide past each other. These plates are often called faults and can be areas where earthquakes often occur. Okay, so we live not on a fault line, but we live close to the San Andreas Fault, and therefore we experience earthquakes in Salinas. We don't necessarily experience violent earthquakes like cities and counties that are closer to that fault line. They're closer to the area of the transform boundaries. As the plates move, they're going to experience more of that earthquake fallout. So if you're doing a transform boundary and you were showing the two plates sliding across from each other, you could do something like on your model, build a little house on top of that and show how it disrupts the house. You don't have to do that, but that's just an option. But basically, you need to make sure that you are labeling each part. You're thinking about what sort of boundary you're creating in this model, and then you got to label what occurs during what sort of event occurs on this type of boundary type. Okay, so is it an earthquake? Is it mountains forming? Is it new land forming? What is going on in your plate tectonic model? Okay, then you need to label what occurs during these events. So what's actually happening when the earthquake happens? Yes, the earth shakes, but why is the earth shaking? Well, the earth is shaking because if we look back over at our article, the earth shakes because in transform boundaries, the plates slide past each other, okay? So they're literally moving back and forth. And then in the convergent boundaries, they're pushing together. So that's also creating some sort of disruption on the surface. So you could be doing the event that you're describing, the event you're describing can, okay, because we have to describe these events. If you're talking about a earthquake, you could be doing either convergent or transform boundaries, and you could be using an earthquake. Now, the way that you showed the boundaries and how they interact with each other is going to be different, but it's going to produce the same event, which is an earthquake, okay? So make sure that you are describing or paying close attention to the event that you're choosing to model with the plate tectonics. Plate tectonics is a highly variable situation. It depends on what sort of plates and what sort of boundaries we're talking about right now. So be sure to select your boundary, whether that's convergent, divergent, or transform boundaries. And you can always go back to the article that is located in the plate tectonic section, and it is before the explain task, and it's right here. You have all these different articles to read, and these will describe to you in great detail what's going on, and it will provide a lot of help for you when you're creating your model. If you pass the test, especially with like 100%, then you understand this stuff pretty well. So don't fret. So make sure you're on evaluate. The second part, third bullet point, excuse me, record a video or sound presentation. This is going to be 2 minutes. 2 minutes maximum, okay? So again, though, plus or minus, this should be a plus sign. Plus or minus, I'll fix that afterwards. Plus or minus 30 seconds. So if it's 2 minutes and 30 seconds, fine. If it's 1 minute and 30 seconds, fine. But it needs to be within that 1 minute and 30 seconds to 2 minutes and 30 seconds frame. That's what 2 minutes maximum plus or minus 30 seconds means. You need to describe the 3 aspects of your project. So the first aspect, what type of boundary are you modeling? Okay, what type of boundary are you modeling? So is it a convergent, is it a divergent, or is it a transform boundary? Then, what happens in these boundaries? So what happens in these type of boundary types? What sort of geological events occur? Well, you have things like volcanoes are created, mountains are created, earthquakes happen, rifts or faults happen. So choose what type, or explain what is happening in these plate boundaries that you're modeling. Then third, why does it happen? So for instance, when we're talking about earthquakes and we're talking about convergent plates, if we're talking about convergent plates, or convergent boundaries, you can have an earthquake because they push together. They are literally pushing themselves together, and that is what's causing the earth to shake around, okay? Because they are hitting each other. So that is part of the explanation of why a earthquake happens around convergent boundary lines. So make sure that that is being explained as you are recording. The last thing is, what was the most difficult part? What was the most difficult part of creating this project? Okay, so there's some things, and there should be a question mark. I'm going to fix these mishaps after I'm done recording this video. What was the most difficult part creating this project? Was it time management? Was it having the materials? Was it being able to understand what plates were and how plate tectonic boundaries worked? Okay, write down what was the most difficult. Then you're going to post a picture of the model and recorded presentation to the discussion. So you'll just go down here, and where it says write comment, you'll just go ahead and type in and click post. I'll just put that I don't have a model. Okay, I'm sorry. I do not have a model. Maybe I'll post one when it's due. If you don't know how to do this, you can go to insert, should be able to go to insert content. No, sorry. You go to file, and then you're going to insert from wherever your files are so that you have your picture and your sound recording. So please, if you can't upload both, just do two different, you can just do two different posts. But you should be able to upload the file, the picture, and then you should be able to come over here and upload the audio, okay? And you can do the audio straight from Schoology. So let's look at the last bit of what we're having to do. Oh, and this is which finally you got to put post. And then after you do that, you're going to find another student's work and write a comment using complete sentences. Don't get lazy. Complete sentences that answers one of the following questions. So, number 1, you only need to answer one of the following questions in the comments. If you want to do more than one, go for it. 1, how accurate is the student's work? So you need to say the student's work, or Michael's work is very accurate. I know this because it seemed to match a lot of the stuff that I read in the plate tectonic articles. For example, okay, I read that divergent boundaries move away from each other. Okay, I read that they move away from each other. And so in the project, he showed them moving away from each other. Okay, so I'll put an example post once somebody posts their project so that we can get it going and there's not a lot of like, oh, what am I supposed to do? 2, how visually pleasing is the model? So 2 is, how visually pleasing is the model? Is this something that looks well put together? Okay, and this should have a question mark, not a period. 3, Do you have any questions for the student? If there's something the student's work that you wanted to know more about, maybe they can tell you if you ask. So if there's something that you want to know more about, ask in the comments. That's the third thing that you can post on. I hope this helps. If you need to watch this again, do it. Please watch it again, pause, rewind, review, and good luck.